item on the agenda, which is the highlight of our program, which is the Bukhari. For this, we will now call upon our esteemed guest, Mufti Zubair Bayat, a world-renowned personality, Mufti Zubair Bayat of the Cedara Islamic Services Center, and Mufti Zubair studied his Quran, and then he studied with the Azhar and Mufti also studied under the world-renowned Mufti Mahmud Hassan Gangori Rahimahullah. Mufti Zubair had some Islamic ta'alluq with the Masihullah Rahmatullah alayh, and thereafter he took bay'ah and took the complete spiritual allegiance in the hands of Arifullah Hakim Muhammad Ahmad Saab Rahimahullah. Mufti Zubair conducts weekly majalis and Islamic programs, and Mufti Zubair also has annual itikaf in the month of Ramadan in Masjid Taqwa in Sikaway. So we humbly request and call upon Mufti Zubair inshallah to conduct the taqaddum.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الأمي. باب قول الله تعالى ونضع الموازين القسط ليوم القيامة وأن أعمال بني آدم وقولهم يوزن. وقال مجاهد القسطاس العدل بالربوبية. ويقال القسط مصدر مقسط وهو العادل، وأما القاسط فهو الجائر. وبالله قال حدثني أحمد بن أشباب حدثنا محمد بن فضيل عن عمارة بن القعقاع عن أبي زرعة عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كلمتان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن خفيفتان على اللسان ثقيلتان في الميزان سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله وكفى والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى. أما بعد، قال الله تبارك وتعالى وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كلمتان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن ثقيلتان في الميزان خفيفتان على اللسان سبحان الله وبحمده سبحان الله العظيم. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله، ومن كانت هجرته إلى دنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه، أو كما قال عليه السلام. صدق الله العظيم وبلغنا رسوله النبي الكريم، ونحن على ذلك لمن الشاهدين والشاكرين والحمد لله رب العالمين. لدى صوت سيده الشريف اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم. يا رب صل وسلم دائما أبدا على حبيبك خير الخلق كلهم. أما بعد. My most esteemed and respected elder and senior, Hazrat Maulana Hassan Manshi, Hafizahullah wa Ra'ah, and all the ulama kiram, and all the respected elders, and all the beloved students, and all who are listening online and who are listening on the audio streaming. First of all, I'd like to greet all of you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It has always been the practice of the ulama that when they went into any institution or they met students, they would convey a hadith which they had heard first from their teachers. And this is known as al-hadith al-musalsal bil-awwaliyyah. So al-hadith al-musalsal bil-awwaliyyah means that the first hadith I heard from any particular alim, that hadith now I convey to whomever else, and you will listen and you will convey, and so on and so on and so on. This is called al-hadith al-musalsal bil-awwaliyyah. So alhamdulillah, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the hadith that I heard first from my Ustad, Hazrat Maulana Mufti Zubair Bayat, and I also heard this hadith from several other ulama and mashayikh, Hazrat Shareef, and also Hazrat Maulana Jabbar Azmi. These were three great hadith scholars, and they were also the khulafa of Shaykh al-Hadith, Hazrat Maulana Zakaria. I also heard the same narration from Hazrat Maulana Mufti Usmani, Shaykh al-Islam, Hazrat Mufti Usmani, Hafizahullah wa Ra'ah, and he in turn heard it from three great muhaddithin of his time, Shaykh Yasin Fadani, Rahmatullah alayhi, who was of Indonesian origin, and he lived in Makkah Mukarramah, and he passed away in Makkah Mukarramah. He was one of the most outstanding hadith scholars of his time. And he also heard this narration from Shaykh Hassan al-Bashar, Rahmatullah alayhi, also a very great hadith scholar. And he also heard this hadith from Shaykh Abdul Fatah Abu Hutta, Rahmatullah alayhi, a very great alim who had visited our country. And alhamdulillah, he also heard this narration from Shaykh Abdul Fatah Abu Hutta directly. So I will convey this to you, and you can take this inshallah and convey it to your students. So that this hadith is from Abdullah bin Amr bin As radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma, an Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, annahu qala, ar-rahimun yarhamu ar-Rahman tabaraka wa ta'ala, yarhamu man fil ard, yarhamu man fis sama. This is the hadith al-musalsal bil-awwaliyyah, and I convey it to you. And now inshallah, you take this and you convey, if possible, with the sanad that I've given you from the scholars that I've heard. These are the leading and outstanding scholars of the Ummah in the recent past. You can convey this inshallah to your students, and they in turn will convey it to their students, and so on it will carry on till the end of time inshallah. So after having conveyed to you this hadith, al-musalsal bil-awwaliyyah, that is the brief translation of this hadith, ar-rahimun yarhamu ar-Rahman tabaraka wa ta'ala. Those who are merciful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the most merciful, He showers His mercy upon them. And irhamu man fil ard, show mercy upon those of the earth, and the one above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show mercy upon you. So this is the brief translation of this hadith al-musalsal bil-awwaliyyah. Now we come to some fundamental discussions relating to this most amazing and beautiful book that is in front of us, that is Al-Jami' Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala. Normally, in the beginning of the year, the Asatiza, when they teach a subject, then they teach or they commence that discussion with the discussion of al-ru'us the 8 heads of discussion, or what we would say the key points of that science, Ar-Rumus al-Thamaniya, in that they talk about the definition of that science, and they talk about the sources of that science, and they talk about the authors in that science, and they speak about various aspects, the Rumus al-Thamaniya. So therefore, this book, Imam Bukhari's Kitab, there has to be a small introduction to this Kitab for us to understand what is the standing of this Kitab, what is this amazing book that is in front of us. Before we actually go to the book, a book is known by its author, it is known by its writer. If the writer is a very great personality, then it will tell you about the greatness of the book. Like for example, Quran Kareem, it is the word and kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There can be no book like the Quran Kareem, because from where it has emanated from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is the kalam of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Therefore it is said, kalamul muluki mulukul kalam. The speech of kings is the king of speeches. That is said about the Quran. Thereafter, the most authentic book, and perhaps the most reference book, and the most read book in the world of Islam after the Quran Kareem is Al-Jami' al-Sahih, or what we popularly call Bukhari Shareef. This is the book that is in front of us, and this is the book that we are completing today, alhamdulillah. A little bit about the author of this particular book, Imam al-Bukhari, Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, Muhammad ibn Abdullah. He was Ismail ibn Bisba al-Jufi al-Bukhari rahimahullah. He was the son of his father was Ismail. In his origins, he came from a Persian origin. He came from a Persian origin, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted him to be such a great scholar of this ummah. Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi was born in a pious family. His father was an extremely pious person who was extremely cautious with regard to his earning. He did never earn one dinar or dirham of haram wealth. Such was his taqwa and such was his wara and his caution in earning, that he did not earn even a small, a little amount of doubtful wealth. Every cent of wealth that he earned was absolutely halal, and the effect of that was the piety that was manifested in his son, Imam Bukhari. His father passed away when he was very small, so he had become orphan, and due to some illness, at a certain point in his time, and this is something that I would like you to listen to very attentively, my beloved students of this Madrassa An-Noor. Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi, due to an illness, at a certain point in his childhood, he had lost his vision and had become blind. He had lost his vision. But such was the piety of his mother, that day and night she would supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and she would beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for her child, that, oh Allah, restore the vision of my child. Give him back his vision. And for many years, the mother of Imam Bukhari supplicated to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She cried in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She spent many nights weeping on the musalla in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and at no point in time did she give up or become despondent or despair. The mercy of Allah. By the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after many years in the mother's dua, you see the power of a mother's dua. It goes direct to the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After many years, one night, she saw Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam in a dream, and he gave her the glad tidings that your son's vision will be restored. And the next morning, by the fadl and grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a miracle and a karamat that Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi vision was restored and he became sighted, and subhanallah, this was a miracle, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala perhaps put it in his heart that this was now an opportunity and chance Allah was giving him in life, that he had to make his life valuable, that he had to make something out of his life. So we find that Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi threw himself into the field of ilm and knowledge, and he began as a student of deen who indeed thirst to acquire the knowledge of deen. And Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi began to study seriously all the sciences of deen. We normally know him to be Amir al-Mu'mineen of al-Hadith, the Amir al-Mu'mineen in the field of Hadith, definitely. But he was also a great alim in the field of tafsir. He was also a great faqih of the Ummah, and he was a great mutakallim in the science of ilm al-kalam. Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi was a polymath, and they say a genius in all the sciences of learning. So this was Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi, grew up in these circumstances. He would sit in the durus of the ulama and the scholars, and he wouldn't write down anything, but he would write it down in his memory. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him an absolutely photogenic memory, such a memory that whatever he heard, it would just become embedded in his memory, and he could recall it verbatim without any hesitation. He could remember things. He had such a phenomenal memory, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him some kind of a computer in his mind. Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi then embarked on a long journey of ilm. It wasn't for 2 years and 5 years and 6 years and 7 years. It was for many, many decades. And at the culmination, he decided to put this knowledge to the Ummah. And he decided to compile from the 600 and so thousand ahadith that they had memorized, 650,000 ahadith that they had memorized. He selected 7,275 ahadith. He selected the most authentic of all the ahadith according to the very strict criteria that he set for himself. That when he was absolutely sure about the authenticity of the hadith, and he was absolutely convinced that this hadith is authentic and the chain of narrators are authentic. Obviously, the authentication of the hadith comes from the chain of narrators. Then only after making istikhara, and then he would sit down and he would write the hadith, and in this manner he compiled this book of his, which is known as Al-Jami As-Sahih. 90,000 students studied Al-Jami As-Sahih under Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi. 90,000 students. And at the end, he passed away on the 1st of Shawwal, by the way. He was born in Shawwal, and he also passed away in Shawwal on the 1st of Shawwal, which is the day of Eid al-Fitr, at the age of 62 in the year 256 after Hijrah. He passed away at the age of 62. This great Imam left this world, and such was his acceptance that 1200 years later, this kitab is being studied all over the world, in every continent and every country of the world. This kitab of Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi is being studied, and he was so accepted that it is said that from his grave for many, many weeks, a beautiful fragrance was to emanate. This was the fragrance from the grave of a great Muhammad scholar, Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi. As far as the Bukhari Shareef itself is concerned, the Bukhari Shareef is an amazing book. It is a compilation of hadith, but Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi has included in it some amazing nukta, the points of knowledge, by the structure of the book, by the sequence of the book, how he set out this book. It is very unique in comparison to other books of hadith. The other books of hadith generally take a standard format. Imam Muslim Rahmatullah alayhi started his kitab on the importance of sanad and isnad in Islam. And this is also a very important discussion for students of hadith, that you must know sanad and the importance of sanad. Imam Ibn Sirin, Muhammad Ibn Sirin Rahmatullah alayhi, he used to say about the importance of sanad, that inna hadha al-ilma deenun fanzuru amman ta'khuduna deenakum. This ilm is your deen. So be careful who you take your deen from. Don't just take from anyone. You can't just take anything from anyone. Anyone says, you know, this is the hadith, or this is the ayat, or this is a ruling. You can't just take it. Where is the chain of narration? How do we authenticate what you say? So therefore, there's a process of authentication, and this is one of the unique aspects of the haqqaniyah and the truth of Islam, that no other religion in the world has got a system of Islam and sanad like Deenul Islam. Deenul Islam has got the system of sanad and the chain of narrators, so that everything can be authenticated to its source. And Abdullah bin Mubarak Rahmatullah alayhi mentioned regarding the importance of sanad, then he said that Lawla Islam laqala man sha'a ma sha'a. If there wasn't the system of sanad, anyone would accept anything in the name of Islam, and who would have been there to authenticate it? So Imam Muslim started off with the importance of sanad, his Muqaddama Muslim famous, and then Imam Tirmidhi Rahmatullah alayhi, he started on Abwab al-Tahara, and Imam Abu Dawud. These are the Sihai Sitta, which are studied in the family of the Alim Court. Imam Abu Dawud Rahmatullah alayhi also started on the Abwab on the basis of the Sunan Kitab. Imam Nasai Rahmatullah alayhi, the similar way. Imam Ibn Majah al-Qazwini Rahmatullah alayhi, he started on the importance of Sunnah and how important Sunnah is. But subhanallah, the Imam al-Muhaddithin and Amir al-Mu'minin of the Hadith, Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah alayhi, started on his kitab in a most unique way. The first chapter of his kitab, it is called Babu Kayfa Kana Badul Wahyi ila Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He starts on how Wahyi used to come to the Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So he starts off his book on the importance of Wahyi, because the whole foundation of Deenul Islam is on Wahyi. Remember that we have three sources of knowledge or information that we can acquire. Two. The one source is through our senses. For example, through our touch, through our smell, through our hearing, through our taste, through our vision, we are able to acquire knowledge. A person feels something, a person smells something, a person tastes something, a person hears something, a person sees something. This is a form of knowledge, but it is a very limited form of knowledge, because it is so limited that sometimes you may see something and your vision is deceiving you. For example, simple example, we take a plane that is flying high up in the sky, flying about height of 30,000 feet, approximately 10 kilometers up in the air. Now, we stand on the ground and we're looking at the plane, it looks so small, like a little toy. And if you believe what your eye is telling you, that you know this plane is small, like, it's like my finger size, then we will say you are a foolish person. Your vision is deceiving you. That plane is so big that let alone your finger, it has got 500 passengers your size sitting inside, and with all the luggage and everything, and all the fuel and the engines and everything in that plane. You say it's not like this, but your vision is deceiving you. So we see that this is a very weak form of knowledge. Some blind people, I'm giving this example because you will be able to relate to this very easily. They had this is mentioned by Maulana Rumi Rahmatullah alayhi in his famous book, Madrassa Shareef. Very, very famous book. According to some of the ulama, Quran Shareef, These were the three outstanding books in the Ummah. Imam Maulana Rumi Rahmatullah Ali mentions that some people now, they were told that there's an elephant. So they went to feed the elephant because they could not see it. So now each person had a different part of the elephant and he formed his opinion on the basis of what he felt. So our feeling and touch can also deceive us. One fellow felt the ear and he had his opinion that, the elephant is like one big leaf. One other fellow felt the nose and he said the elephant is like a hosepipe. One fellow felt the legs and he said the elephant is like a pillar. One fellow felt the tail and he said, the elephant is like a string. But is that how an elephant is? No, definitely not. So our touch can also deceive us. So our senses are very limited. The second source of valuable information is our aqal, our intelligence, our ability to rationalize, our logic, but that is also limited. We count from 1 to 100,000, 10,000, 100,000, million, 100 million, billion, trillion, quadrillion. Carry on counting. Will we be able to stop? We can't stop. Why? Because we are limited. Our intelligence is limited. We cannot count to the end of count. So there is a third source of knowledge, and this is the highest form of knowledge, and the most authentic form of knowledge, and that is what comes from above, that which comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator of the senses and the creator of the intellect, and that is called wahi. That is the most authentic source of knowledge. So therefore Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah Ali, he started his kitab with this very chapter, باب كيف كان بدء الوحي إلى رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم, and he mentioned all the narrations relating to how wahi used to come down to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which you have alhamdulillah read in your lessons and your dars. In the beginning of this kitab, although it is not directly related to the chapter, the first hadith that Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah alayhi narrates, and that is the hadith on the importance of ikhlas. And that is why, and this is all the chain of narration that is authentic right from us to our asatiza, from our asatiza to Muslim Hind, Imam Shah Waliullah Muhammad Delhi, and his sanad is well known right up to Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah, and from Imam Bukhari to his chain of narrators, all his teachers from whom he heard, one after the other, until it comes to the Sahaba Ikram, and then from Sahaba Ikram it goes to the Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah starts off this kitab, and that is why always when we read our dharma, when we do our hadith lesson, we must always start the beginning of our lesson, we say, وَبِالسَّنَةِ الْمُتَّصِلِ مِنَّا إِلَى الْإِمَامِ الْهُمَامِ الْإِمَامِ الْبُخَارِي محمد بن إسماعيل بن إبراهيم بن بردستة البخاري الجوفي رحمه الله تعالى ونفعنا بعلومه وعلومه أنه قال. We start off to say that every lesson, our sanad is muttasil, our sanad is connected, there is no breaking in our sanad, and that is the difference between a person who is an authentic scholar and somebody whose knowledge is acquired not from an authentic source. So, Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah alayhi, the first hadith in this kitab is إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَىٰ. And he narrates this from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyidina Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. The scholars say that Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah alayhi had such a, latif and such a delicate temperament that he could link things in a very subtle way. There was a lot of subtlety in this kitab. The scholars still today, they are digging up the gem of Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah alayhi. They said he was Amir al-Mu'mineen fil hadith. So therefore he started off the first hadith with the narration of Amir al-Mu'mineen in Islam, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab, because he was the first person who had overlooked Shubiyah in Islam, Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyidina Umar ibn Khattab. Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala was known as Khalifa to Rasulullah, but Sayyidina Umar was the first one to be known as Amir al-Mu'mineen. So Imam Bukhari Rahmatullah alayhi, he takes Amir al-Mu'mineen, his narration that إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. This near to the hadith on the importance of niyyah. Why does Islam put this as a reminder to the student, to the teacher, to the principal, to the institution, to the ummah, that remember, if your work is based on sincerity, then only it will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then only it will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there is no sincerity, there will be no acceptance. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us all ikhlas. And remember, the ulama have mentioned that ikhlas is also from Allah's treasures, like everything else. Therefore, beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for ikhlas. Hazrat Maulana Iyas used to say that in the beginning of every action, think and ponder over your intention. In the middle, think over your intention. At the end, think of your intention. So in that manner, ikhlas will be developed in a person. After that, Imam Bukhari starts off with Kitab al-Iman. And in Kitab al-Iman, all the abhas and all the discussions related to Iman, he covers all of those things. Then this Kitab is al-Jami'. It is a comprehensive book of hadith. Every aspect of Deen Islam is covered in this book. In the Quran Shareef is the text, the Bukhari Shareef is the Sharah and the commentary. Every aspect of Islam is covered in this book. And then Imam Bukhari goes to all the abwab of salah and taharat and salah and sawm and zakat and hajj and nikah and talaq and jihad and miras and all the ahkam of the sharia, and all of these things. And in between he has his own, titles of each chapter that he puts. And these are known as the Tarajim of Bukhari. And they say fiqh Bukhari fi Tarajimi, the fiqh and the fiqh capability and ability and action of Imam Bukhari is in his Tarajim, is in his chapters and the titles of his book. And he goes to each book, each chapter, he makes some hint. And he indicates towards something that he makes you think. He opens your mind. He makes you understand and reflect on fiqh hadith, then how you can extract the valuable points from the ahadith of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. This is the amazing thing about Imam Bukhari. And then at the end of his book, then he comes with Kitab al-Tawheed. Kitab al-Tawheed. What is Kitab al-Tawheed? You would say Tawheed is part of Iman. Yes, it is part of Iman. But Tawheed refers not only to Iman, but it refers to the correct understanding of the aspects of Iman. That Iman which is regarded as authentic in the eyes of Allah and Rasulullah, that is what Imam Bukhari is referring to in Kitab al-Tawheed. So that excludes all the deviated groupings and sects who claim to be Muslim. All of them say we are Muslim. The Shia say we are Muslim. Qadianis, Alhamdulillah, they say we are Muslim. The Mu'tazila say we are Muslim. The Qadariya say we are Muslim. The Jahmiya say we are Muslim. And the Murjiya say we are Muslim. And the Mu'tazila say we are Muslim. And the Khawarij say we are Muslim. These are all the different groupings, and each one of them claim to be Muslim. But Imam Bukhari in Kitab al-Tawheed, he establishes the principle that only Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah are Muslim whose Iman is authentic in the eyes of Allah and Rasulullah. And this will be al-Firqatul Najiyah, and this will be the one sect that will go into Jannah, and the other 72 sects, they will be the ones that will be deviated. And this one set will be the Ma'ana alayhi wa ashabi, the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So Imam Bukhari actually makes a right, and he refutes, he does a refutation on all the deviated sects in Kitab al-Tawheed. And so, in the time of Imam Bukhari, the the Aqeedah of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Murji'ah, and the Qadariyah, and the Jabariyah, and the Mu'tazila, and the Khawarij, and the Rafidiyah. These were the groups that had brought out, and Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, throughout this book, he refutes the beliefs and Aqeedah through the Ahadith and through the Tarajim. He refutes these people. And it goes to show the part and parcel of the function and duty of an alim of this ummah is to refute all deviated beliefs and deviated understandings of Deen Islam, and to ensure that Deen Islam will always remain pure and it will remain unadulterated and untainted by any kind of adulteration or deviated interpretation or by any kind of deviated beliefs, ideology. Deen Islam will always remain pure in its original form that it was revealed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and conveyed to the ummah via the Sahaba Kiram. So Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi in this Kitab al-Tawheed, which is the last kitab, he makes rad on the various, he refutes the various groupings and sects. And this last hadith and the last Tarjumatul Bab, Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi is also refuting one of the deviated groups of the Ummah, and that group is the Mu'tazila. The Mu'tazila is that group who rely primarily on rationale, on the logic, on intellect, and they put their intellect against the wa'id. If they found that certain things were not appealing to the intellect, they would cast it aside and they would not accept it. And this is not in keeping with the spirit of Islam. It is not in keeping with the teaching of Islam. So in today's day and age, we have the equivalent of the Mu'tazila are those who are called the modalists. Modalists are people who try to give a modern interpretation of Islam. And if they find that the teaching of Islam is not in line with their intellectual understanding and interpretation based on intellectual rationale, then they reject it or they give it some kind of a deviated interpretation. This is all rejected in Deen Islam. The Mu'tazila were the founders of this rational deviated grouping, and even today they are found in the world in the form of modernism and modernism. Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi refutes them, because one of the things they used to say that how is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala going to measure and weigh action on the day of Qiyamah when actions are something that are not visible, it has got no physical existence that one can see. You can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can't hold it, you can't feel it, you can't see it. So how do you measure or weigh something like that? So therefore they rejected the weighing of deeds, because they said this is not possible. This was based on their deficiency of intellect and knowledge actually. In actual fact, today science has illustrated that there are many things that are called a'rad. A'rad in Arabic, that are things that are not, we are unable to sort of personify it in a physical form. Those are called a'rad, like temperature. Where's temperature? Can you feel temperature? What about air pressure? You can't see air, so how do you know what is air pressure and so on? But man has made instruments to it. You got the thermometer, you got the barometer, you got so many other meters that have been manufactured and invented by man in this day and age, that even these things that are imperceptible to the senses, they can be measured. So Imam Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi refuted them by bringing this chapter right at the end, and he brings this hadith right at the end. And in this chapter, he speaks about the fact that there will be scales that will be placed on the day of Qiyamah, and deeds will be weighed in the scales. And some deeds might appear to be very light and easy to perform, but yet they will be very heavy in the scale of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. your asatira, mashallah, who have gone through all of these discussions with you. And I'm just trying to give you an overview because you are going to be the ulama of the ummah. And you are going to play a pivotal role in the ummah. So understand, try to understand deeply what this book is all about, who's the great Imam, and what message is trying to give us. Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi at the end, he's also giving us a message. What message is giving us here at the end? He's giving us a message at the end. And remember, we started off with ikhlas in the beginning. But the proof of that ikhlas will be seen on the day of Qiyamah when the deeds will be weighed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The more ikhlas there was, the greater will be the weight of the deed. And the lesser ikhlas there was, the lesser will be the weight of the deed. And therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will place the scales to weigh the deeds. The ulama say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not count the deeds, but Allah will weigh the deeds. What does that say to us? It is not the quantity of deeds, but it is the quality of the deeds that are important in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sahaba al-Kiram gave half a kilo of meat as sadaqah in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says it is greater in reward than mountains of gold that the people after will give. What is the difference? The difference is the ikhlas, the weightiness of the ikhlas, and the purity of the ikhlas of their hearts that will make that deed greater in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than mountains of gold of people with a lesser degree of ikhlas and lesser purity of ikhlas. So Imam Bukhari is taking us through the whole spectrum of deen and starting off with niyat and ending off with the akhirah and the name of deeds, reminding us that look, make sure the sincerity in what you are doing and you bring it correctly in accordance with the principles of wahi, so that on the day of Qiyamah, when the deeds will be weighed, they will be weighed in your deeds, and your deeds will be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he gives the example of deeds that may be very light on the tongue, easy to perform, but because they have certain attributes in them, they become those beloved in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and very weighty and heavy in the scale. And that is the hadith that we quote from Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. And again the ulama say, look at the beauty of Imam Bukhari rahmatullah alayhi's subtlety in this kitab. The first hadith was from Amirul Mu'mineen, Sayyidina Umar. The last hadith is from Shaykh al-Hadith of this ummah, Sayyidina Abu Hurairah. Allahu Akbar, like this, there are thousands of nuktas that the ulama have taken out. And they say that he could now the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كلمتان حبيبتان إلى الرحمن. Words, two sentences. Kalima doesn't necessarily mean a word, it can be a sentence or a phrase. That these are such that حبيبتان إلى الرحمن. They are very beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And here we say حبيبتان إلى الله, حبيبتان إلى الرحمن, to show that level of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. خفيفتان على اللسان, very light on the tongue, so easy to pronounce that there isn't any kind of difficult huruf even in this kalimatan. In tajweed, you get certain huruf, for example, the Quran will tell you that there's certain mahani quite difficult to pronounce. To make sure that you make mush over again to get the correct pronunciation of those letters. And among the most difficult letters to pronounce in the Arabic language is Dad. They say the only person who could pronounce Dad in the most perfect ability and the manner of pronunciation was Sayyidina Umar bin Khattab radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. That they say both sides of his tongue used to touch the adras when you do the recitation of God. So these kalimat are such that they are very light on the tongue, nothing difficult to pronounce. And yet, ثقيلتان في الميزان, they are very heavy in the scale. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. Beautiful kalima. A lot of ajr and reward. Shaykh al-Hadith Zakaria rahmatullah alayhi in Fadail al-Zikr has got a whole bab and chapter on the virtues of these kalimat. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, Subhanallah al-Azim. What is the reward of Subhanallah alone? Alhamdulillah alone. Huge reward. Subhanallah تبلغ الميزان والحمد لله تبلغ ما بين السماء والأرض. These virtues are mentioned in the Hadith Shareef of these words. And what is the beauty of these words? Subhanallah. Subhanallah is saying Allah alone is absolutely pure. Nobody but Allah is pure. That means we are impure. And bihamdihi, Allah alone is deserved of praise. It means that anybody that is praised besides Allah, actually that praise belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Hazrat Qari Tayyib Sahib rahmatullah alayhi, the principal of Darul Uloom, a great alim of this ummah, he was known as Khatibul Islam and Hakimul Islam. Hakimul Islam, Hazrat Qari Tayyib Sahib rahmatullah alayhi says that they need a form of tazkiyah also in this. So Imam Bukhari starts off from the collection of niyat and he ends off from the chapter of tazkiyah. Tazkiyah is the purification of the heart. What is tazkiyah? To remove all the akhlaq razila and to embed within oneself akhlaq hamida. This is what is tazkiyah. The fadail to be placed inside oneself and the razail to be removed from oneself. So Imam Bukhari ends off this book also on the importance of tazkiyah in Islam. Islam will not tazkiyah to batin, that you will be successful as a student if your intentions are always correct and tazkiyah of your heart has been done. Because what is tazkiyah? The essence of tazkiyah, Subhanallah, is saying that we are faulty, we are defective, we are deficient, we are full of sin, we are full of fault. As long as a person acknowledges his weakness and shortcoming, then he will be progressing. But if he thinks, I am great, I am good, I am pious, I am knowledgeable, I am perfect, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, that will be his downfall, and that will cause pride to come into him. And wa bihamdihi, all praise be for Allah. Even if somebody praises you that mashallah, you're a very good student and so on, remember that all praise goes back to Allah. Because our ability is also from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Islam is also from Allah. Our Iman is also from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When we go into Jannah, we will say, وَقَالُوا الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ الَّذِي هَدَانَا لِهَذَا وَمَا كُنَّا لِنَهْتَدِيَ لَوْلَا أَنْ هَدَانَا اللَّهُ. Our hidayah, our guidance, everything is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Our Islam is also from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when a person negates himself and says, I am nothing, everything is from Allah, everything goes back to Allah, the praises are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then he will have in himself a quality of humbleness and humility, and will not have pride in him. And when an alim has got these beautiful sifat and qualities, that he is humble, he is aware of his fault, he is aware of his shortcoming, and is trying to improve his condition all the time. That is the alim that is great in the eyes of Allah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take a lot of khidmat of deen from such an alim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us ulama and muqaddim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us those type of ulama that are maqboolin, faizeen, accepted in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, today it gives me the greatest pleasure, and I can't say how much I enjoy myself. I'm sure you will see from my expression that I'm really enjoying myself being in this majma and this gathering of my beloved students and brothers in Islam, that you people, all of you are shining stars. And all of you are such people that you have opened our eyes. You have opened our eyes and you made us realize. And you have taught us that how, despite having certain what we would say, impediments in your learning abilities, in your learning process. And somebody taught me something very valuable. He said, don't say people of disability, rather say people of different ability. Subhanallah. I actually wanted to jump when I heard that people, not people of disability, but people of different ability. You have a different ability Allah has given you. And Alhamdulillah, many years ago, my beloved elder and senior, my beloved friend, Hazrat Maulana Hassan Barji, Hafizahullah, invited me many years ago to be a guest at the Jalsa of Madrassa An-Noor. At that time, when the Madrasa was in Impaired and the Jalsa was held in Mountain Rise Masjid, by the tawfiq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I had the opportunity to research a little bit on the blind scholars in Islam. And I gave examples. And one day, inshallah, if I get an opportunity, I will also mention this to you on some other occasion. But there have been great ulama in this ummah who did not have the ability of sight, but they had different abilities in them. And they became great ulama of this ummah. The ummah can be proud of those ulama. Imam Shafi himself was a person who did not have vision, but what a great Qari of the ummah he was. Another very great personality that comes to mind, Hazrat Qari Fatah Muhammad Qari Kabi, rahmatullah alayhi. He was not a person of vision and sight, but Allah, what a great alim of the Quran he was. What a great Qari of the Quran he was. What the ability Allah had given him. That Hazrat Qari Sahib used to listen to 6 or 7 students simultaneously at one time, and every student, the mistake they were making, he would correct them as they were going. This was the amazing ability Allah SWT had given him. When he used to recite the Quran, and he settled down in Medina and made hijrah to Medina. He was Muhajir Madani. He settled down in Medina, Tayyibah, and when he used to recite the Quran, the Arab people used to get so overwhelmed. They used to say, as if Allah is revealing the Quran right now, the way this man is reading the Quran. Qari Fatah Muhammad Qari Kabi rahmatullah alayhi, Allah SWT gave him his resting place in Jannatul Baqi. Allah Akbar, these are our ulama Deoband. I got a whole book. It is called Ulama Deoband to Jannatul Baqi mein madfoon hai. All the ulama of Deoband who are buried in Jannatul Baqi, it is a thick book, and there are hundreds of our ulama because of the Ittibai Sunnah and the Ittibai Shariah. That Allah SWT honored them with burial in Jannatul Baqi. So, Qari Fatah Muhammad Qari Kabi rahmatullah alayhi, one of those ulama, recently, Kalimullah, who just passed away, rahmatullah alayhi, buried in Medina, in Jannatul Baqi also. He was a khadim in a way of Qari Fatah Muhammad rahmatullah alayhi, and I heard this directly from him. He told me, the Mufti Sahib, जब Qari Sahib का इंतकाल हुआ, तहज्जुद के वक्त में वहाँ मौजूद था, ऐसी खुशबू मैंने जिंदगी में ऐसी खुशबू नहीं सुनी। What a perfume, what a fragrance! I never smelled a fragrance like that in my whole life. That fragrance emanated upon his demise, perhaps the presence of Malaika bringing the bouquets of Jannah that caused that fragrance to be even smelled in this dunya by something. This was Qari Fatah Muhammad Qari Kabi. My beloved students, you people who can become the Imam Shafi and you can become the Qari Fatah Muhammad of this Zaman and age, apply yourself, work hard, work diligently, sacrifice. You have got a world-class facilities in this Madrassa An-Noor full of life. Subhanallah. From the humble beginnings to where this Madrassa is today, Allahu Akbar, it is boggles the mind. And the Ikhlas and sincerity of Hazrat Maulana, that how this Madrassa has grown from in leaps and bounds. What a majestic and beautiful structure. And all the facilities are available for you here now. Your comfort, everything is attended to. Now, what is required from you is to apply yourself and work hard, work diligently, and apply yourself with your full energy towards acquiring ilm and knowledge, and then see how Allah SWT will make you shine in the world, wherever you go, people will be running to you, and people will be learning from you, and people will be benefiting from you. We make dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all these 2 students, alhamdulillah, who completed the Bukhari Shareef, 2 students who will be now completing, inshallah, the Hifzul Quran, the rest of all of the students, the asatiza, the principals, the administrators, the management, the assistants, the board of directors, and all the supporters and donors and well-wishers, and all who are those who love this institution and support this institution for dua and etc. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept each and every one. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وأما إن كان من أصحاب اليمين فسلام لك من أصحاب اليمين. وأما إن كان من المكذبين الضالين فنزل من حميم وتصلية جحيم. إن هذا لهو الحق اليقين. فسبح باسم ربك العظيم. صدق الله العظيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين آمنوا occasion of Khatmul Quran is a very significant occasion. It is an occasion of immediate and acceptance of dua. 4,000 malaika attend the gathering in which Khatmul Quran takes place. And don't worry, we don't have to worry about Corona and COVID. We don't have to do social distancing and all of that. They come here, they are protected in this gathering. So their malaika are here in big numbers. There is no restriction for numbers as far as malaika is concerned. And also, the Bukhari Shareef is a very Mubarak kitab. And it has been recited and made khatam has been made of Bukhari Shareef for the removal of a lot of problems in the world. In this lockdown period, alhamdulillah, ulama from around the world were asked to read different portions of Bukhari Shareef by the great muhaddith of our time, Sheikh Muhammad Al-Awama, rahimahullah, in Turkey. And alhamdulillah, the khatam of Bukhari was taking place every day by ulama reading from different parts of the world. Daily one khatam of Bukhari Shareef was taking place. The dua was accepted at the time of Khatmul Bukhari too. This is a very special occasion of the acceptance of dua. These beloved students are in front of us. These are the ones that they are Dulufur Rahman, the guests of Allah and Allah, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Dulufur Rasul, and they are also the ones that the Malaika are the friends. The Malaika throng around them. So, with the presence of these students here in our midst, very, very special students. Unlike other students, they are very special in a way. So with the presence of the students, inshallah, we also ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina wa Mawlana Muhammad wa barik wa sallim. Ya Rabbi salli wa sallim da'iman abada ala habibika khayril khalqi kullihim. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa in lam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna min al-khasirin. Rabbi ighfir warham وأنت خير الراحمين. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا بالإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا ربنا إنك رؤوف رحيم. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وادخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نسألك من كل خير ما سألك من نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من كل شر ما استعاذ منه نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وأنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. اللهم إنا نسألك من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم ونعوذ بك من الشر كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم ونسألك ما قضيت لنا من قضاء أن تجعل عاقبته الرشدى. اللهم وفقنا لما تحب وترضى. اللهم اجعل آخرتنا خيرا من الأولى. اللهم اشرح صدورنا للإسلام. اللهم فقهنا وفهمنا وعلمنا في الدين يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما ربنا زدنا علما. Ya Allah, accept all of the students, Ya Allah. Accept this madrasa, this institution, accept all the madaris throughout the world. Ya Allah, these special and beloved students, Ya Allah, with all the challenges, Ya Allah, the sacrifices they've made, they've left their parents and homes and traveled long journeys, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, to be in an institution of learning and knowledge. Ya Allah, day and night they are sacrificing and applying themselves. Ya Allah, till they reach the Khatm of Bukhari Shareef and some have completed the Hifz al-Quran. Ya Allah, accept them, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, accept them, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, accept their families, Ya Allah. Accept the teachers, Ya Allah. Accept the institution, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, make them grow from strength to strength. Ya Allah, make them, Ya Allah, make them into, Ya Allah, lighthouses of guidance, Ya Allah, in their communities wherever they go. Ya Allah, make them a source of inspiration for the ummah around the world. Ya Allah, use them to convey the teachings of your deen. Ya Allah, be most pleased with them. Ya Allah, grant them good akhlaq and character, and grant them tasbih to nafs, and Ya Allah, grant them purification of the soul. Ya Rahman, Ya Allah, make it easy for them on the journey of knowledge and the journey of life. Ya Allah, the young students, young ones, Ya Allah, who have left everything and come here, Ya Allah, make it easy for them and grant them progress and let them grow from strength to strength in ilm deen. Ya Allah, bless them with knowledge of Quran and Sunnah. Ya Allah, bless them with the ulum of the Mufassirin and the Muhaddithin and the Mutakallimin and the Fuqaha and the Mujtahideen. Ya Allah, and the Muballighin. Ya Rahman, imbue them with beneficial knowledge. ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى ال سيدنا مولانا محمد صلاه تنجينا بها من جميع الامراض والافات وتقضينا بها جميع الحاجات وتطهرنا بها من جميع السيئات وتدخلنا بها اعلى الدرجات وتبلغنا بها اقصى الغايات من جميع الخيرات في الحياه وبعد الممات انك على كل شيء قدير. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين. اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم يا رب العالمين. يا رب, let us make silent dua for a few minutes with a very makbul and beautiful opportunity for the acceptance of dua, to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the depths of our heart, whatever our needs are, whatever our problems are, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this auspicious occasion. Ya Rahman, grant maghfirah to all of who received one, especially the mother of Maulana Hassan Saab. Ya Allah, grant maghfirah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, fill her qadr with qulub, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, raise her status in the akhirah, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, give good health, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, give good health and tawfiq, Ya Allah, to our elders, Ya Allah, and acceptance to them, Ya Allah, especially to the father of Maulana Hassan Saab, Ali Abdul Qadir Saab. Allah grant her good health, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, grant her long life, Ya Allah, with afiyat, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, and all those parents are alive, Ya Allah, grant them good health and afiyat, and those whose parents have passed away, grant them all maghfirah and entry to Jannatul Firdaus. Ya Allah, honor and bless our asatidha and our teachers for whatever they have done for us, Ya Allah. We can never repeat them, Ya Allah, and our mashayikh and our akabir, Ya Allah. Bless them, Ya Allah, honor them, raise them, Ya Allah. Ya Rahman, protect us and the ummah from all the fitnas that are raining down from the sky, Ya Allah, like in the dark night, Ya Allah, fitnas are coming so fast and quick. Allah, save us and protect us and our progeny from this fitna and the fitna of Dajjal and the وتكفير الدجال. صلى الله على النبي الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا